Welcome to the Pair Affair today. And we want to thank you again for joining us and taking another. We know there's other opportunities to listen to different podcasts out there, but we are very excited that you joined us. And hopefully, this podcast will make you continue to listen more as we produce more and more podcasts for you. Title of our story today is called The Butterfly, and it's talking about the struggles that we all have to deal with. So the story starts with a man found a cocoon of a butterfly. One day, a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole until it suddenly stopped making any progress and looked like it was stuck. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, although it had a swollen body and small, shriveled wings. The man didn't think anything of it and sat there waiting for the wings to enlarge to support the butterfly. But that didn't happen. The butterfly spent the rest of its life unable to fly, crawling around with tiny wings and a swollen body. Despite the kind heart of the man, he didn't understand that the restriction cocoon and the struggle needed by the butterfly to get itself through the small opening were a way of forcing fluids through the body of the butterfly into its wings to prepare itself for flying once again when it got out of the cocoon. And I say the moral of the story is our struggles in life develops our strengths. Without struggles, we never grow and never get stronger. So it's important for us to tackle challenges on our own and not rely on help from other people. As we talk about struggles and accomplishing things, I keep hearing this word over and over again. It's called a productive struggle. A productive struggle. It's when you're trying to do something and you're trying to be productive, but sometimes you're not really making any progress. You're not really making any progress whatsoever, but you are trying. You are trying really hard, but you haven't figured out what to do with yourself just yet. Maybe you haven't figured out the options of getting out of the situation that you're in. I don't know. Maybe you haven't figured out the best way, option one, maybe option two, option three. You haven't figured out the best struggle for your situation. Just like that butterfly that's in the cocoon, eventually it would figure its way out and build itself up. But sometimes in life, we think that we need help along the way to speed up the process because it's what we want to see. And as I talk about struggles, and I think about all the struggles that I have come across, the ones that I remember the most are the ones where I was there by myself. And I had people to help me, but then again, I don't really remember. I remember people helping me, but it wasn't the same when I was by myself and I was struggling by myself. The one struggles I remember the most, I was by myself and my mind was telling me one thing, my mind was telling me another thing. And my mind kept telling me, I can do this. I can do this. You're made for this. You're going to just keep pushing yourself. Keep pushing yourself. Because a lot of times we want to struggle, but we want help along the way. And it's okay every now and then to get help on your struggles. But to always depend on people to help you with the struggle, you're never going to grow. You're never going to see what you're made out of. And sometimes we want things easy, and sometimes we want things that are just come our way. But we have to continue to struggle. And we have to continue pushing ourselves and trying to figure out what's the next steps. What can I do next? How do I make this situation better? It's not always going to be there, or it's just a natural part of the process. And I think sometimes we think that when we're struggling, we're never going to get out of that situation. But we got to keep struggling. We got to keep pushing. I noticed myself as I look at some of the struggles that I have, and I looked at the little project I have going. Right now, it's very hard. It's extremely hard what I'm doing right now. But I look back and I said, wow, it seems like it's hard, but I seem to be making a lot of good progress. And I like where it's going, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And a lot of times we have to understand that some of the struggles we have, they're hard struggles. They're not easy. They're not easy. If it was easy, It wouldn't be a struggle. Like going up a hill. Today, as I was driving in to the office, I noticed I had to go up this hill. And I know my car, it started struggling a little bit. And then I realized, oh, I put some new spark plugs in my car this weekend. Put some new spark plugs in there this weekend. And so it gave that boost of power to get up that hill. But before it was struggling a little bit, but I had to learn how to put in the spark plugs, did that. And the car just went up the hill with no problem whatsoever. But a couple weeks before, when the car was struggling getting up the hill because the spark plugs weren't strong enough, now I got new spark plugs in there. Car goes up the hill, no problem whatsoever. But I had to make a decision. Should I continue to struggle or change some things? Change some things made a difference. As we continue to talk about the struggles that we all go through, we have to look at our options. And some options are really convenient, and some options aren't worth your time. And as you're struggling, you're going to have two types of people that are going to come your way. You're going to have one that's going to maybe encourage you, and you're going to have the other ones that's going to say, yeah, you just keep struggling. You just keep doing that. You're never going to get out of that situation. And you got to figure out which person are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the one that says, hey, give up? It's not, it's just not in you. Or are you going to believe the person that says, you know what? I think you're struggling right now, but I think something in you, eventually you'll get out of the situation. And I look at how there's some struggles that I have went through in my life. And I'm trying to figure out, why did I have to go through that struggle? Did I create the struggle? Or did it struggle, happen for a reason? A lot of the struggles that I go through is stuff that I have created. And I've created that mess. So I have to figure out what's best for me. As we continue talking about the opportunities that we have as we continue to struggle. And the one thing about a struggle is you have to kind of watch your emotions. Because a lot of times we'll try something and our emotions we'll try it the first time, it won't work out. And we have to really be calm. Take some deep breaths. Say it's going to be okay. Because what happens is the first time it happens, it doesn't work out. A lot of people, that's when they give up. We tried another way, and maybe that way doesn't work out. And maybe the third or fourth way that we try, that's the best way to do it. Because recently I had this project I was working on, and I tried 3 or 4 different ways, and it's a struggle every time I do this project. But then I found another way that it's a little bit more expensive. It may cost a little bit more, but it works. It works. It's proven it works. But I have to follow the instructions. And the thing is, I would have never appreciated the third or fourth way if I didn't go through the first way, if I didn't go through the second way. Because all I was thinking about was fixing this problem I wanted the problem to be fixed. But I have to understand that I have to struggle through the first and second or third way. The fourth way is the best way. But I would have never, if I'd started off with the fourth way, I would have never appreciated it like I did now. And I remember a long time ago, when I first started driving, my parents, they bought me this car. And some of you may remember what this car is, or you can Google it. It was a Chevy Vega. And I remember this car. It was probably had a hideous color. The color was, I think it was orange, but it wasn't really orange, but it was yellow, but it wasn't really yellow. It was in between. It's like a tangerine. And I remember this car to this day because it was like my first car they bought me. And the car I was last year of high school. It could barely make it to high school. I think it made it halfway, and then it would overheat. Yeah, it would overheat every day. And so I always keep a jug of water. I kept a jug of water in my car. And so, but every day I drove that car, and I knew when it was going to peter out. I knew when it was going to stop, and I just parked it, locked it. And I said, all right, I'll be back after school. I walked down to my car, whatever. So I struggled with that car for 3 or 4 months, and I didn't complain. About it. I was just happy to have something. And people laughed and, look at this car, blah, 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 smoking all over the place. So then my family, my father, he said, well, here's another car. He got me another car. He got me this old police car with a spotlight on the side. Had a big engine in it, big brown detective car. I remember it was big, brown, could hold a lot of people in the car, but it wasn't the most appealing. It wasn't the most update. It wasn't a cool car. All my friends, it seemed like, always had the cool cars. And during that time, they had the lower trucks. Everyone had the lower trucks and didn't have a sound system in it. I think it had an 8-track tape, whatever. And people don't even listen to 8-track tapes. You don't even know what the 8-track tapes are. But as I struggled with these cars and getting these cars, if I'd have started off in a new car right from high school, would I really appreciated the cars that I have now? And we have decent cars. They're not the greatest cars, but they go from point A to point B. They're not smoking. They're not turning off. They don't have a spotlight on the side. But would I really have appreciated if my parents would say, here's a new car, I would have not known the struggle. But as I continue to get better vehicles, I realized that that's just part of the process. That's part of the process. As my son was learning how to walk, I noticed with him, in the beginning, we were holding his hands, and he was happy us holding his hands as he was walking a little bit. But eventually, he wanted to let go. Eventually, he was doing his own thing. It was great. Every now and then, we hold his hand and everything. But now, as he's getting older, he lets go and he can do his own thing. But imagine if we still 4 or 5 years now, we're still carrying him around. We're still carrying him from place to place and not trusting that he will learn how to walk on his own. Sometimes we have to just let things take their course. We may not understand the course, but we have to understand that it's just part of the struggle. It's okay to struggle. A lot of us don't want to struggle, but it's just part of the chapter. It's just part of another brick in the wall. And I know it's boring to struggle sometimes. I know it's frustrating, but you gotta, like I said earlier, you gotta keep your emotions intact. And you gotta understand that's just part of the process. If everything worked out for you, what's the use? What's the use of living? What's the use of, if everyone gave you everything that you wanted, what's the use? And we all have people that we know that everything is given to them. Well, it seems like it. It seems like it. But we don't know the struggle. And we have to understand that sometimes when you struggle, it's okay. It's okay to struggle as long as you're going forward. Now, if you're struggling and sitting around complaining about things, no one feels bad for you. But if you're struggling and just doing what you're supposed to be doing and just keep marching towards your goals, that you'll get there. You'll get there. But you got to understand that in anything that's great, there's going to be a struggle. There's going to be a struggle. But you just keep pushing yourself, keep being patient, keep taking some deep breaths, and you'll be fine. All right? Well, once again, thanks again for joining us on the Parafair, and we will see you on the next one, and have a great day. Bye-bye.